This is what we need.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my first Path of Exile 2 video. I know you've seen probably 100 videos at this point. Obviously, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. I've been waiting for this game for a while, and let me tell you, I'm excited about this game. It's only in early access, but I'm going to have to say I did make a video kind of about early access, and I believe that this is a prime example of how early access is done right. You didn't catch that? We got 5 characters. I've tried everything but Ranger, so I've got some kind of feel for the game. I've got like 80 hours in the game. I have not got to end game maps yet. I've been kind of slow rolling it, just sort of trying different things, respecing my builds, you know, farming and hoarding gold and selling stuff. I've got a decent amount of hours in the first game, so I think I have a little bit of perspective on, you know, what I really like about this game and what I think they could do better for sure. You're gonna probably hear a little overlap between, you know, what I think and what a lot of people that are playing the game think. I think there's a lot of the criticisms are very similar. But so let's get into it, right? So I've started off with Mercenary. Obviously, I heard Warrior was a slog, so I had to try that. I think that was my third character. I've done Sorceress, I've done Witch, and I have done Monk. My favorite so far has absolutely been Merc. I saw that class announced, and I was like, that's the first one. That's obviously the character I probably got the most hours in. I'm in the second part of the axe, so it's going pretty good. I think I'm going to breeze through the cruel acts 1 through 3 because I don't really think it's super difficult. Like, it feels like it's going to go a lot quicker than the first 3 acts. So about that, I think that the first act's not so bad. The second act is where you're going to find that your RNG for items is really gonna determine whether or not you advance slowly or quickly, because Act 2 seems to be the harder of the 3 acts. It certainly was for me. I think it was for quite a few people. And I think just because, like, your power ramp through the first act is pretty decent, and then it sort of plateaus in the second act for some reason until you get like closer to the end. Like, the bosses are a little harder. I'm not gonna lie, I think the easiest boss in the acts is the last boss, Dorian. That was probably the easiest fight that I've had, like, mechanically. I mean, you can just kind of walk in a circle, at least with Mercenary. I haven't done it with the other ones yet, but with Mercenary, you just sort of toss gas grenades and exploding grenades, stun them, and, you know, it's over. I'm not doing like magical amounts of damage, but I'm doing all right. Witch and Sorceress are absolutely OP. They've seen some pretty crazy builds out there, I'm sure. I'm trying to figure things out on my own. Path of Exile, I tried figuring things out on my own, you know, after come to the game. You know, 10 years late, there's just so many systems in that game. It's kind of hard to overcome that knowledge gap unless you really do a deep dive in there. I've got like 600 hours in PoE 1. You know, I've done maps, got a handful of level 90 plus characters, so I got decent success in the game. But I think PoE 2 is more my style. It's slower paced. I know a lot of people don't like that. I think a lot of people were thinking that they were going to come play PoE 2 and just, you know, clear house like they would in PoE 1. I think a lot of people, all they wanted was, you know, a sort of graphical remaster of the first PoE. And PoE 2 is absolutely its own game. There's a lot of familiarity with how the game plays and all that, but there are also a ton of different systems. Chief among them is the gems. So instead of having like 400 gems or however many it is in PoE 1, there's just a handful. And they're not all there yet. Obviously, we're missing 6 classes. Even with the 6 classes we've got, we're still missing third ascendancy from each. And then there's also weapons that we're not able to use. I think Warrior's missing probably the most out of all of the classes that are currently there, which is strange because I think a lot of people were hoping that PoE 2 Melee was going to be like a big boon. And there's been some pretty awesome like one-shot Warrior builds, but I think PoE GGG rather nerfed those quite a bit, which is upsetting, but also I think the idea is that they want you to try more than one build, and they kind of backed themselves in a corner with that one. Act 1 with the Warrior for me was a breeze. I didn't really have a lot of hard times. Of course, I think by the time I got to this character, they had already put out 1 or 2 patches. There's been a few. Since then, they just released one yesterday to help fix some more RNG stuff, to fix the honor system for Trials of Sekima. My little brother's playing, and he started out with a Warrior while I was playing Mercenary, and I had got through Trial of Sekima the first time around, and I really just walked through it. Like, I didn't do like hardly any fighting. And he's saying that he was having a hell of a time because he just lose all the honor taking hits. And I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And I played Warrior, and I did get hit, but I just decided to like put on some fast boots. I like rolled a unique that gives you like this variation of speed from 0 to like 40% speed, and so I just sort of hoped I got enough movement speed to like run past things, and was pretty successful at getting through Trial of Sekima with my Warrior. But it's not too bad. So I think the things that like irritated me at first, which certainly for my Mercenary because they hadn't fixed it yet, was the roll mechanic and rolling through mobs. Oh my god, worst thing ever. And I'm so glad that they fixed that. They changed the unit size from 1 to 0, so you can actually, there's any gap in between the mobs you can get through them, which is good, because I was getting pushed into corners, and just my instinct was to try and roll through it instead of fight through it, and I died a lot. I'm doing Monk. Monk is definitely the better of the 2 melee classes currently. I've seen some pretty broken, like, lightsaber, dark Sith Lord builds with Monk, so I'm going to try my hand at that. I'm not sure why so many people are complaining about the expensive respecking. I didn't really respec my Merc at all. I think my first, like, decent respec was on my Monk. I definitely changed up quite a thing after this. Like, this is not the current build. This is pretty early on. I'm still in Act 2. Well, I see early on. This is early on and before I respec. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I've got that sort of like Dark Sith Lord build starting to go on my own, trying to figure that out. But I like Monk a lot. It's much more engaging than the Warrior. There's a cooler skill tree. It's obviously a faster class, so that's helpful. And this boss, this one in particular, this is the first like boss in Act 2, and it's annoying because you can either kind of like cheese it like this. I mean, if you're like an Uber player and you know you're like get good, this should have taken me 4 seconds. Good for you. But oh yeah, I really gotta work on this bell thing because I know it's a good way to like get hits. I'm just not doing it right. I'm trying to figure it out. But yeah, it's back and forth, back and forth. I don't think he ever touched me. But yeah, and then this stuff happens. None of this ever happened in PoE 1 with boss fights where like mobs come after, which is can be frustrating because you beat the boss and then you gotta deal with this and hopefully you don't die. I'm not playing hardcore. I haven't losing any characters. I'm just not. I'm not into it. I don't understand it. I mean, if you like need more of a challenge to try and get through, I mean, good on you. But I think people are still doing that pause, log out thing, so lose their characters or whatever they're doing, trying to reset. Excuse me, reset the boss. That's just not for me. Maybe someday I'll try hardcore solo self-found, but I want to get through all the characters, play them all, figure out my builds, and then, you know, when the new classes come, I'm sure everything that I've learned since then is gonna be moot, and I'll have to start all over again. But this game's right up my alley. So, you know, what's another thing that I can't stand? Oh, the maps. Maps are massive, and I think that they recently added more checkpoints into maps. I'm not sure which ones they've added in there. They've added there's some maps where checkpoints are right next to waypoints. That's dumb. That's not helpful at all. I don't even know what the point of that is. Like literally right next to them. And they need checkpoints like, you know, throughout the map in the middle. Some of these maps are absolutely massive. And if you die halfway through a large map and there's no checkpoint, you start over and have to get all the way back through that. There's that one of the jungle areas, I forget what, in Act 3 is huge, and there was, I don't know if it's been fixed now, I haven't played it since the patch. I will with one of these characters, but the first checkpoint was at the beginning of the map, and then the next checkpoint was at the end, and nothing in between. And yeah, if you die in there, you get to go through all those mobs again. Like, I know this isn't supposed to be a Souls-like, but it definitely has some Souls-like mechanics where everything resets. I'm fine with the boss resetting. I mean, learn the mechanics, get good, whatever you want to call it, do a better build. But I think it's bullshit that you have to fight all the mobs just to get there. That can be very frustrating. But those are my real big gripes. I think the only other problem people are having is RNG and gold. Saying that respecking is really expensive, but if you're grabbing all the gear, teleporting back, putting stuff in your tabs, or selling it, you're always going to have gold. And they've significantly decreased the respecking cost since the beginning of the game, so that's good. But you just gotta understand this game is very different. There's got to be a lot of issues people aren't gonna like. It is not PoE 1, and that's it. Like, if it's too much for you, you got Diablo 4, you got Last Epoch. Shoot, throw in Grim Dawn. Like, maybe that's more your speed. PoE 1 is sort of like S tier, crazy fanatical type gameplay, super complicated. PoE 2 is more methodical, more tactical game, I think, at its core, and I'm really enjoying it. Everything feels more impactful. When you get gear, it feels more important. It has a bigger impact on your build and on your character. So you just gotta give it time. GGG's cooking. They are making fixes. We're in early access, so if there's not something that you think is working for you, I implore you to engage the community. You know, get your voice heard. you know, and offer solutions. Like if something doesn't feel bad, it doesn't feel you know, if it doesn't feel good, excuse me, and that doesn't feel good. Like the roll thing, that was terrible, and they fixed it. I hope that they fix, you know, the resetting of the mobs in every map. I hope they put more bosses in the end game stuff, and I hope that they don't lock you out of the maps like they're doing right now. I hope they fix that too when I get there. It's probably not by the time I get there, but you know, I hope they do get all these kinks worked out. And I think PoE 2 is going to be just an absolute banger of a game. I've really been enjoying it, and I hope you guys check it out. But that's all I got for you guys. Take it easy, and I'll catch you in the next one.